All right, guys, if you missed it, I don't know if you missed it. I'm going to link this video in the chat at the end of this reaction. But Brett Cooper has made a video on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, this is a little bit odd to me, only because Brett Cooper, I didn't really see her having too much interest in the gaming space. I got to imagine she's having interest in it now because of all the DEI nonsense that is happening in the gaming space. But the good thing is that, number one, she's talking about it, so it brings more eyes on the situation. And number two, our foot bandit, Kata, was actually in the video. He's actually a participant in the video. So we're going to react to it. We're going to check it out. It's about 30 minutes long, but I'll try to speed it up a little bit. And let's see what she's got to say about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Here we go. I will say one thing really fast, though. I will say one thing. When it comes to the Daily Wire letting go of Brett Cooper has to be studied as one of the biggest business mistakes that any company has ever made, ever. I mean, you have to be fucking retarded to have let go of Brett Cooper and thinking that everything was going to be fine by doing so. That you were just going to replace her with someone else. Like, that is a major fumble. And yeah, it's got to be studied. It really does. Like, how do you fuck up that bad? Anyway, let's continue.
Have you ever wanted to play a video game where the protagonist is a black Japanese samurai who has gay love affairs with non-binary characters? Well,
yes, that is a literal fantasy for Kata, which is why he wanted to be on your show. You know Kata was gooning. Just so you guys are aware, you know for a fact Kata was 100% gooning the entire show.
Well, if you have, then Assassin's Creed Shadows might just be the game for you. So one of the most anticipated games of the year just came out, and gamers of the world simply are not happy. Apparently, Assassin's Creed Shadows is just not good. And it kind of ties into what we were talking about in regards to Snow White just at the beginning of the week, because it seems like there are two huge issues here. Number one, the quality is supposedly just lackluster with a half-baked story and half-baked characters. And two, the DEI initiatives that Ubisoft shoved into this game are very much on display. So all of that means that there are two issues here, and people that are simply just criticizing the quality of the game are getting lumped in with the anti-woke culture war fighters. It's this whole mess of people being upset, but this does beg a broader...
Man, there ain't no assumptions happening right now, Kata. We know you were gooning. 95% of this chat is gooning right now. Let's be real. It's okay. It's all right, man. We don't judge here. We don't kink shame here.
Question of where is the gaming industry actually going? And is it too far gone for most gamers? Now, before we dive in...
Bro, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Literally said there's a lot of assumptions being thrown around here. And now he's like, unfortunately, she didn't show toes. Sad times, bro.
Into this story, I want to remind you all that I am going on tour this spring. It is my first tour ever. I am so excited to come to cities near you and hopefully meet some of your beautiful faces. The links to buy tickets in all of the different cities are in the description below. I hope you guys can make it out. I am just super excited. I think it'll be a ton of fun. And also, of course, if you want ad-free episodes of The Brett Cooper Show and a weekly Dear Brett video and a subscriber-only newsletter, you can check out my platform at Cooper Confidential, which is linked here and in the description below. And of course, make sure to like this episode and subscribe to the channel if you've not already. And if you don't want to miss a single thing we post, make sure to ring that notification bell. All right, so
Jesus Christ, and people get mad at me for my 10-second intro on my videos. She just chilled for like 45 seconds. God damn. What I will say is that I find it interesting that somebody like Brett Cooper is now talking about this stuff, because it goes to show how far this is actually reaching, right? How far this is actually reaching. This is reaching well past the confines of just the gaming space. A lot of this is now reaching outside of the gaming space, where people like Elon Musk are fucking tweeting grums and shit. You got Brett Cooper talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and she's not even a gamer. I think she even admits that she's not a gamer, and yet she's talking about it. So it just goes to show how far this conversation has spread out there.
Just a couple couple of weeks ago, the new Assassin's Creed game called Shadows came out and hit the market, obviously, to an uproar of criticism, but also publicity. And basically, if you guys have not heard about this game, it is the new Assassin's Creed game, and it is set in feudal Japan. And when the trailer of this came out last year, I had just finished watching Shogun, so I was actually like I was like the perfect demographic for this game. I don't even play video games. I was like, oh my God, this would be so sick. I'm like in the Shogun mindset. And then I watched the trailer, and I was like, what the actual heck is going on? Now, the game was said to follow two protagonists, a black Japanese samurai, Yasuke, and a female shinobi, or a Japanese spy, named Nawe. And like I said, the trailer came out last May, and even last May, in 2024, it made an insane...
Well, he's not a Japanese samurai. He is an African samurai, which makes it worse.
Splash, because people were obviously confused about a black samurai leading a video game that is set in feudal Japan. However, at the time, Ubisoft confirmed that Yasuke was a real historical figure, so they weren't just pulling this out of their ass. Although, when you actually look at his history, the time that this man spent in Japan as a samurai and his actual history is very, very murky. There is a book written about him.
That book is Thomas Lockley's book. Don't reference Thomas Lockley's book. It's literally all made up. It's all made up nonsense.
But again, we just don't really know a lot about him. So because of all of this, last year people were very quick to call out Ubisoft for political pandering, for just trying to dig up and search for a black character in order to basically check off a diversity box for this game, which is ridiculous because they would basically be checking off every single box in the book if they had just focused on creating actual Japanese characters. And of course, it didn't help that amidst all of this anger and...
Well, that's the thing. They didn't have to make Japanese characters. There was plenty of male Japanese samurais that they could have chosen in history that were around during Oda Nobunaga's time that they could have written whatever story they wanted to with. They didn't have to make anything. It actually was creatively very easy to do all of this.
Chaos over the Black Samurai, the developers were simultaneously hinting at something else, which actually at the time, back in May, the anti-woke warriors didn't really sniff out yet, considering that the coverage was completely left-wing. And I know this thanks to Ground News. And my partners over at Ground News...
Holy shit, the shilling, bro. I need to get rich like her. All right, let's go to Kata. Let's go to Ground News, whatever, if you want that. All right, anyway.
This is his video, and it will provide some extra context for what is all going on.
Now, I'm annoyed because they're using
Look at this motherfucker.
And I'm going to tell you why. Yasuke is what they want to say is the first black Japanese samurai, when in all actuality, he was not even a samurai.
Looking like a black nerdy Miles Morales. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. This guy don't lift. Look at him. Look at him. He sounded all nasally and shit. He sounded all echoey because he's recording on a phone. Look at this guy. Big time. This guy's big time. This guy made it. Look at him. This is great.
He was a retainer, so he wasn't even...
This is Harry Pothead right now.
Even a full-blown samurai. And for all of the characters they could have used for Japan, all these kind of different people they could have picked from, they picked...
He's about to cast Wingardium... Wingardium Watermelon.
Yasuke. Why do they pick Yasuke? Because he's black. So instead of using a Japanese man in a game based in Japan, like they did with the other Assassin's Creed games, Altair, he was an Arab, obviously. One of my favorites, Connor, in Assassin's Creed 3, he was Native American.
Kata, bring it in, bro. Bring it in. Listen, Kata, she's gooning. She's gooning, bro. She's gooning.
That was fine. And the most famous of them all, Ezio Auditore, who is Italian. So why in all those games would you have a character representative of the region they're from? But in this game, you want to demote a Japanese man and then use Yasuke.
I mean, seriously, I couldn't have said it better myself. And this video, I mean, it amassed...
But she's married? Since when does that mean anything? The fuck? You're acting like there isn't a high cheating statistic in the United States of America. People are like, but she's married, bro. Really? You think this snow buddy's not gooning for Kata right now? Seriously? This is a terrible pause, by the way. Absolutely terrible.
9.2 million impressions after he posted it, which makes sense because all of this was common sense. He wasn't saying anything revolutionary. He was simply saying what we all were thinking when we watched the trailer. And it was just so amazing hearing that from somebody who has been playing the game for years and is obviously so invested in this franchise.
Now, you know for sure. All right, Kata, bring it in. Bring it in. We're going to do this a lot. Kata, you know for sure that what she just said is not what she wanted to say. The whole aspect of her saying this was so good to hear from somebody who was playing the game for so long. You know that's bullshit. What she really wanted to say was this is so great to hear from somebody who's actually black. Bro, you know it's true. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that whole thing about, oh, it's so they could have picked a white guy saying this. Why'd they pick you? I'm just kidding. Maybe.
And because of all of these feelings, Ubisoft absolutely got destroyed on social media. Fans were so confused by what they were doing, and it dulled a lot of excitement that people had about this game because, as Keita says later in that video, people had wanted an Assassin's Creed based in Japan for years. They had been begging for this.
True.
And
That's
so
true.
To then see that trailer and it just be a black guy, obviously for social justice warrior reasons, it was like a slap in the face to so many people who had wanted this for so long. And Keita, the gamer that you just saw in that video, had some incredibly important context to add, because guess when Assassin's Creed Shadows went into development? Take a listen.
That decision was made in 2020. 2020, 2021.
Oh,
what was going?
Yo, I could say I founded Keita. This is great. Look at this. That's right. Red sweater of love on. Look at this. He had to go extra black too. This man got the fucking rag on his head, the shades. This is amazing. This is a beautiful thing
going on around that time frame. You had the height of the George Floyd stuff, the DEI initiatives. During that time frame, a lot of things were racially charged. So of course they were like, yeah, let's put Yasuke in it. And it's like, when you do that, you make people think, oh,
listen, Keita, I charge 10%. All right, 10%. I'll be your manager. It's no problem. 10%, bro. Come on. We all know you can't use a computer. All right. Hocho told me you guys can't use computers. Let's be real. 10%. I think that's fair.
Whether you're doing it or not, you make people think, oh, you're just trying to virtue out somebody's skin color. They wanted him to be
you sounded
that
nervous.
Focal point, that virtue.
You sounded
but they
nervous.
knew that it's not that kind of time anymore. It probably would have got by 2020, 2021. Now people are not with that shit. They see it, they're like, no, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
So there you have it. This game went into development in 2020. Here is the prime example of what BLM did. They saved the world. Thank you, Patrice Cullors, or whatever the heck your name is. I'm trying to, eliminate you from my brain. But guys, amidst George Floyd and the race riots and, white people crying in the streets because they hated the color of their skin, all of us being told that Black Americans were the most oppressed individuals in the entire world, this game was created. So, of course, at that time in history, Ubisoft was going to be clamoring for some kind of way to capture the moment and show that they were an ally. But, video games, they take a long time to create. And 5 years...
Bro, she's way too energetic for me, man. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I can't take this fucking, TikTok level energy. I know you're not this energetic in real life, bro. I just know. You never meet somebody when you're watching them on camera and you just know that they're different in real life. I just feel like that's what I'm looking at here. It's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to diss or anything. I can't take this fucking energy. I can't. I'm just old. That's what it is.
The culture has radically changed. The moment is long gone. BLM has lost its power.
I could see why she's super successful, though. I'll say that. I could definitely see why she is super successful. She's got the look. She's got the energy, the presentation. I can see it.
And Ubisoft is now suffering the consequences. But this whole situation is about so much more than just the grifting. Because when I asked Keita, who is now my new resident Assassin's Creed expert, about the game and how he's feeling after playing it for the last week, the first thing he said was not the DEI or I can't believe I'm playing as a black samurai. It was actually about the quality of the game itself. This is what he said.
It is not a very good game. There's
oh, wow.
bugs.
That was really descriptive, Keita. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just fucking around. He's going to describe it. Let's go.
Out of the ass on it. There's glitches in it where it's not working properly. Textures aren't loading in properly. Facial animations, they just look so stiff. The dialogue.
Hey, stiff? Stiff? Hold on. Wait, come here really quick. What do you mean by that? What did you mean by stiff?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Just asking.
And voice acting is the worst I've ever experienced in a video game. Not even just the hate. It's very bad. The main actress that's playing the Japanese character in the game, Naoe, when she delivers her lines, I can't get invested because she sounds like an AI robot.
I mean, at every turn, He and other gamers on X, on YouTube, in their publications, they have had critiques about the gameplay, the dialogue, the music being completely out of touch. I mean, who wants to listen to cyberpunk music when you are playing a game in feudal Japan?
It's set in feudal Japan, so the music that they have for a lot of these scenes does not fit at all.
It's
like it'll be like
music.
Some pop, like Japanese stuff in the background, or like some rock, or they still have hip hop like infused with Japanese stuff for like fight scenes. It sounds like cyberpunk music when you're fighting. And I'm like, why are we just doing this after this emotional moment? The music doesn't fit. And I'm like, nothing fits.
I mean, that entire situation just sounds like finding tofu at a steakhouse, which would never happen to me because I eat at home thanks to Good Ranchers. And as you all know,
what the fuck? I need to get on her grifting level, bro. I need to get on her oh my God, dude. Holy shit. I'm over here taking no sponsors, and this girl dropped like 3. And we're only 1/3 of the way through the video. God damn, bro. Just go to Kata. Where's Kata? Oh my God, bro. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Allegedly, why they delayed the release from November of 2024 to now March of 2025. I mean, these are the types of articles that were being written about them in November. This headline reads, Ubisoft boss says it knows players think it has an...
I'm not going to lie. That is fucking impressive. Not only that, her transitions are amazing. Her transitions are fantastic. Damn. What do I even say to that, bro? Next thing you know, she's going to be like, yeah, I farted in the kitchen the other day and I had to get the smell out. So that's why I bought fans by farts. Like, what? What the fuck? Oh my God, dude.
Inconsistency in quality. So it delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to flip that script. Well, apparently that did nothing because people have still been disappointed. So I do not think you flipped the script at all. Now, echoing everything that Kata said in our interview when we were chatting about this new game, another gamer named Legacy Killer HD made a 30-minute video about how this game was a complete mess from start to finish. He tweeted this about his video saying,
oh, not Killer 8 Legacy. Oh my God, dude. Whatever, I guess.
I did not enjoy Assassin's Creed Shadows. Combat and exploration, it felt restrictive and unbalanced. Story, mostly boring. The duo protagonists never clicked for me, as one is far more enjoyable to play, but is hamstrung by baffling design. I mean, guys, the comments underneath his video were just rich. Everyone was calling them Ubislop. They were saying that they were non-binary, binary for this game. It was just pretty hysterical. Like, nobody is enjoying this in the slightest. They're all playing this game to figure out what's going on. They're playing this game because they love Assassin's Creed, but they know that this is not the quality that they should be getting. In another review, this one from Dual Shockers, the hits just kept coming. These writers said, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a bloated collection of uninspired quests that quickly turn into a repetitive, boring grind. While the art and history teams deserve recognition for their efforts, it is unfortunately wasted on a narrative that goes nowhere, is poorly explained, and has no satisfying resolutions. I mean, people are not pulling punches in the slightest. So we have to ask, like,
yeah, we're getting cursed out for it and getting like fucking doxxed and threatened. All because we disagree on video games. It's unbelievable, man.
How did all of this happen? How did Assassin's Creed go from being a beloved and revered game, one that Kata has literally been playing since 2007 when he was 11 years old, to the laughing stock of the gaming world, which right now it kind of is. Now, in Kata's mind, and in a lot of gamers' minds right now, this is because they fell into a very common yet very dangerous trap, putting messaging over quality and virtue signaling over creativity.
It's so lazy to me. I'm sitting here, 6 hours, playing a video game. I don't want to be lectured to. I don't want to be pandered to. I don't want none of that. I just want to enjoy myself. Now, if you're telling a story and, that's a part of the story and it's organic, I don't have an issue. I have an issue when it's obviously forced.
I mean, Kata absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think that we are all just exhausted by years of being lectured at. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure that Ubisoft felt the heat, which could be, in my mind, just...
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for that next sponsorship drop. Because I know it's got, look, I paused it at the right moment. That's the side eye of somebody who's about to drop the 4th sponsor on your face. It's what is it, every 5 minutes? It's coming. It's coming. It's gonna be like, yeah, Ubisoft doesn't respect any history. And if you don't respect any history either, you can subscribe to, and then she just boom drops it. It's going to be crazy.
Speculating, and in Kata's mind, could be another reason why they delayed the game like 5 months. They obviously had to see the response online after they debuted the trailer. They noticed the culture changing, especially after the election, and they went back and they tried to steer the game in a completely different direction. Because why? On God's green earth, after making such a big deal over this, important historical black samurai, would Yasuke not actually be a relevant part of the entire game? Why would he only have 15 minutes of game time and then just disappear for the majority of the game? And yes, people have noticed, from writers at Forbes that said Assassin's Creed Shadows has a Yasuke problem, calling him a puzzle piece that just doesn't...
I wouldn't say he disappears for the majority of the game. I would say that he disappears from a decent portion of the game, right? Because he disappears for about the first 10 hours, which is pretty huge. But then you have about another 20 hours or so of gameplay. So he's gone for the first 1/3, which is a pretty decent portion. But I wouldn't say the majority of the game. You know what I mean?
Quite fit to actual players online saying things like, it's decent, but it has some issues. Yasuke is essentially an afterthought. Pointless being him when he isn't an assassin.
He is an afterthought. That is true. In the story, you can clearly see that there was some weird changes that were made that turned Yasuke into an afterthought and made it all about Naoe. It just doesn't feel like it was organically made that way.
The more you play it, the more you wonder why. There is no point to his character in the game. Another person said, I am really convinced that Yasuke is an actual token, because at best, he really doesn't add much to the story.
He doesn't add much to the story, and he doesn't add much to the gameplay. Like, with Yasuke is literally does not play like an Assassin's Creed game. I've said it so many times. Yasuke does not play like an Assassin's Creed game. When you play as Yasuke, you literally feel like you stopped playing Assassin's Creed and you started playing something else. He takes away from the experience completely. When you're playing as Naoe, you feel like you're playing an Assassin's Creed game. Combat is not like the easiest thing in the world when you're playing as her, because she takes a lot of damage. But with Yasuke, you just tank everything. Literally tank everything. It doesn't matter, bro. You don't got to block anything because nobody could block you. You spam the attack button. Eventually, even the biggest enemies are unable to keep blocking you. It's a completely different play style. So I feel like he's only there to give you the option to play as something totally different, and because they wanted to put him in there.
It's really just there, and if Naoe was the sole protagonist, nothing in the story would really change. Many have this sentiment. So why even bother making him an MC? Boom. That is what happens when you are message first, story last. It doesn't work. He seems like a token. He seems like an afterthought, because the only thought that Ubisoft has was, I know we told people we would have a Japanese Assassin's Creed, but also BLM, it's 2020. We need to have a black guy. And he might have become...
I feel like it was more so... I feel like Yasuke's inclusion, or including a samurai in general, was more of one of two things, if not both of these things at the same time. Number one, I felt like it was kind of a nostalgia thing in the sense of they didn't want to introduce an Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan unless they hit every point of, oh my God, Japan for the normie, right? Which for the normies, that means pretty sakura trees, right? And samurais and ninjas and nice tall Japanese buildings, right? Whereas with Ubisoft, they're like, okay, well, we got to put in a samurai because we want to take away and build off the hype that was built from Ghost of Tsushima. I really feel like it's because of Ghost that they decided to put a samurai into Assassin's Creed, because they wanted to try to make that connection with the normies. And they're like, well, if you like Ghosts, we're going to give you a similar experience, but in the Assassin's Creed way. And we're going to make him black because reasons. You know what I mean? So I really feel like the game would have benefited not just from the removal of Yasuke as a person, but from the removal of a samurai in general. They should have just kept it. They should have just kept it with Naoe. Naoe would have been fine. Her gameplay is 100% Assassin's Creed. It would have been fine. Keep it with her. Putting in a samurai and then going with a DEI route on top of that, you're double dipping in a stupid decision. They really wanted to be Ghost of Tsushima. That's really what it boils down to.
Even more of an afterthought, even more of a token, if they did actually go back and...
Or you could have just kept it where you were killing samurai, right? Where you were fighting like how you do in the game right now, where you're fighting against samurai. There are certain samurais that are part of the secret organization. You could have kept it with that, kept it part of the story. including them as a playable character, you are only trying to be like ghosts. That's it.
Cut down his storyline, which ironically, if they did that, would have just made him seem like more of an intersectionality box to check. And of course, again, if they had really wanted to be authentically diverse, they could have leaned into Japan, leaned into historical Japanese history, and tried to make that a real, genuine, integral part of the story. But apparently when they tried to do that, that even fell flat.
It sounds like, Americans pretending to be Japanese. So like, like in the movies, they'd be like, you dishonor your family and family and shit. They use the R in it. That's how it sounds.
You dishonor family. You fucking bitch.
In this game. Like, it sounds very racially stereotypical.
But guys, I am not even surprised at
here
this
it
point
comes.
because last year the game developers literally said the quiet part out loud. Take a look at this. Assassin's Creed Shadows dev says it's not a documentary and Ubisoft is not trying to show Japan from a very clinical or an overriding stereotypical view.
That's bullshit.
And then this one, Assassin's Creed Shadows Japanese setting has been, quote, very, very tricky because Ubisoft wants to be respectful and avoid telling a culture about their own culture. Okay, well, Ubisoft, in your efforts to be so sensitive, to not tell a culture about their own culture, to, not make a documentary, you just turn to stereotypes. You turn to stereotypes and historical characters that honestly kind of exist in a weird gray area.
Because quite frankly, what's happening with Assassin's Creed Shadows is the majority of the voice actors that are doing those English Japanese actions, like the whole femry and like they're talking with their teeth closed. Shiitake, right? Like those people. They're white people. They're white people. They're white voice actors pretending to be Japanese American. That's literally what it is. They are desperately trying to fake the accent of an English Japanese person. You could tell how some of them talk. For a fact they did not hire all Japanese people to speak and voice act for this game. They didn't. And yet somehow every character NPC is speaking in broken English Japanese. So that's not true.
Of like, we don't actually know if they were a samurai. It doesn't really sound like they were. So instead, you just made a mockery of an entire region and point in history. I don't really think that was your goal, but you missed an entire opportunity to celebrate a culture, and instead you avoided it and kind of mocked it altogether. And of course, I'm literally getting out of breath at this point, but it does not help that on top of all of that, they left in all of the gay storylines that they promised last year, which just makes the entire situation and storyline weirder. Was Kata's take after playing through all of that?
Yeah, but you knew that shit was coming because it was in other Assassin's Creed too. The gay relationships were coming, man. The moment they started going down the route of being an RPG style game, they're gonna include optional gay scenes. That's what these fucking companies do.
From what I gather, I think Yasuke has like 3 where he could be gay.
I firmly believe that Assassin's Creed was a million times better when it wasn't the RPG light game that it is, right? Like the moment they turned Assassin's Creed into the RPG light franchise that it is, it has opened up the door to a lot of things that people hate. And it's not even just the gay romances as well. We're talking like the microtransaction bullshit, the overextended gameplay just for the purpose of making you want to pay money, the overabundance of the map and how they are trying to get you to want to pay $10 to unlock the entire map. There is a bunch of nonsense that's been put into this game simply because of the RPG supposed elements, and all of it is just meant to keep you playing and keep you paying. That's it. That's all it is, man. The RPG elements offer almost nothing else to it other than to keep you paying, keep you playing and keep you paying. That's it.
Naoe has, I think, like 2 or 3. What makes it worse is the fact that Yasuke, whatever you feel about his history, he was a real guy. So put him into a game and then implying that, I wouldn't want nobody to put me in a game 500 years from now and they say, oh yeah, Kata liked to sleep with dudes. It's like, no, I didn't. Don't do that.
And no, my friends, it is not just Kata pointing this out.
That's a good fucking point. That's a good point for all the people who are like so respectful of Yasuke. You're out here turning Yasuke into a squinting-eyed booty bandit. You know what I mean? That's a good point. That is a good point. Kate is telling on himself. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, imagine if you had some white liberals take your experience in life and turn it into a just absolute ridiculous gay fantasy. and you weren't gay. Wouldn't that be insulting to the supposed historical figure?
It's not just one player here or there that is sniffing out these storylines. Publications like Pink News are blasting these wins for the queer gaming community far and wide. This was an article that came out just last week. They said, you can have hot gay samurai flings in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ubisoft. That is just excellent. That is what we all want out of Assassin's Creed. Just clunky, half-baked, gay, and disliked. That is what you have created. I hate to say it, but again, this is what happens when you chase brownie points and not quality. Now, of course, if you're going to have
double entendre there, chasing brownie points. I see what you did there. I see. Good job. Good job.
This conversation about Assassin's Creed, we obviously have to, take a step back, take a bird's eye view, and take a look at the entire gaming industry, because this is not just happening with Assassin's Creed. This is far from being an isolated incident. And in general, the gaming industry has changed dramatically over the last decade or two. And I think one thing that really stands out about all of that is how commercialized it has got. I mean, it went from being this more artistic, niche, independent industry into a $200 billion industry in 2025. And amidst all of that, you have these high-quality developers and independent companies that are getting bought up, and the world just became far more corporate, and they chose to focus on mass appeal, aka leaning into culture wars and trying to be as woke as possible. And a perfect example of how this all
so I think that's ultimately what it comes down to when it comes to Brett Cooper. I don't think she cares about gaming, personally. I don't think so at all, right? I don't think anybody's stupid enough to really think that. I don't think she cares about gaming at all. But I think she sees the conversation being an avenue to enact certain conversations she's trying to have about wokeness, DEI, all that stuff. You know what I mean? I feel like that's really what this is about. And she saw the conversation around Shadows, and she saw how many people were talking about it. And now I think she realizes that, this is her opportunity to really kind of co-opt this and take this and turn it into a further talk about what she normally talks about. In my opinion, anyway. Not that she's wrong about what she's saying, but it's opportunistic. I think it's fair to say it is definitely opportunistic.
Transpired is Ubisoft. I mean, in 2022, they released their annual sustainability report where they promised to embed DEI in every single one of their creative processes. So if you've been playing Ubisoft games over the last couple of years going, what has changed, my friends? I am about to show you. And yes, before you ask, this was put into place by their Chief Diversity, Inclusion, Accessibility, and Social Impact Officer at Ubisoft. And her name is Rashi Sika, who was hired in 2020. Interesting timing for the development of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Here she is. This is Rashi. And according to this article that was published around the time she was hired, her role would be to implement more diverse and inclusive strategies and initiatives across all aspects of operations and business. And let me tell you, my friends, by 2022, she had certainly done that. By the time that sustainability report came out, she had implemented and publicized all of these strategies, which in turn impacted all gamers, especially the lovers of Assassin's Creed. Now, in this report, she wrote, "We will create gaming experiences that push representation forward by embedding diversity and inclusion across all of our processes, increasing representation in our teams, and offering access to resources that help build teams to build more authentic, inclusive, and accessible gaming experiences."
Sounds about right.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that exactly what you want? And I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, that must be why you picked a black samurai. And I am sure that Yasuke is this woman's crowning joy. So guys, if you want to know why Shadows has a black samurai, why it has gay love stories and non-binary characters and a strong female lead that kind of comes out of nowhere when Yasuke was supposed to be the protagonist, now you have your answer. And all of this is just so funny to me.
So I don't think that one person is to blame for Yasuke being put into the game. I think it's the company as a whole. All right, because Ubisoft makes these decisions as a company. So to put it all on the Indian woman, I think is a little bit unfair. But I would not doubt her, I would not doubt her influence, let's just say, on making certain things happen like that, to be honest with you. So overall, guys, this is a pretty decent video. Shout out to Kata for being involved in this video. That's awesome. Happy for you, bro. Unlike some people who wish they were in your place, I suppose. And yeah, I'm going to link this video because we got to do our reaction now. Let me link this video really quick in the chat for those of you that want to follow up on it. There's another 10 minutes